Good morning. Today I have a project that I had planned on showing you almost 2 years ago. I had made a video in January of 2024 showing how I used these, and I said I was going to show how to make them, and life just got crazy and I never made the video. So today I'm going to do it. I wish I could find the fans that I had decorated these with, but if you go to my video on January of 2024, you can see how I used these. I think the fans I decorated are packed away. I will be so glad once we move into our other place and get unpacked. So anyway, these are little decorations. I've got one here that's made into a flower center. This is actually made from paper, this one. And then I inked it with vintage photo. So I've got lots of colors here, as you see. Most of them are paper, and I will show you how I make those in a little bit. The colored ones that are paper are actually colored paper that isn't that rose pretty? Colored paper that I blended. Okay, so I tore up little pieces of paper. I have a blender I use just for this, and I had a bunch of water in there, and I put all my little pieces of paper in there, and I put it on puree, and I ground it till they were like just nothing, just little bits. And so it kind of looks something like this. And I'll show you how we make them in a minute here. So it's kind of a mess to make them, so I decided that I was going to puree a bunch at the same time. So I've got these that kind of look like cow pies. I just, for some reason, the place I had it where I put it, they just turned into a circle. So I just did a bunch of colors so that I wouldn't have to get my mess out constantly and do it. So this here, I'm going to move these out of the way. This here, I took a piece, just like this. I tore it from this one and just stuck it in my water so it can get all mushy again. So then I have got, trying to get all my supplies here, these little molds. I bought these at Hobby Lobby, most of these. Some are flowers, got ovals. I also have hearts. I hadn't made hearts yet, so I've got one that I did this morning that's drying, but that one's not from paper. And I've picked up some leaves. I have not made any leaves yet. And then I picked up these cute little bows. And this is a fondant mold. And these are also not paper, so I'll show you these after a bit. But I'm going to show you the paper ones first. It takes a little while for this to get all saturated with the water, but I've got enough mushy stuff here. I think I can make a flower. So let's try a leaf. I haven't done a leaf yet. We'll see how the leaves turn out. Okay, so one of the reasons I like these molds versus those thicker candy molds is, let me dry off my fingers before I touch one of these paper ones. They're very, very thin. So let me find a button here and show you. Now some buttons are thicker than others, I realize. So see the thickness there? Hopefully it's not blurry. They're about as thin as a button. So they're good for embellishments because they don't add a whole lot of bulk if you're going to use them in a journal or something. Okay, so I'll get my mushy stuff here. Squeezing some of the water out. And let's try this one. So I really push hard to push it into the mold. And if the mold isn't quite full, you can add more on top. And then I take like a rag or a Kleenex or paper towel and push on there to get as much of the liquid out as possible and really pack that in there. And if it pushes down quite a bit and there's an indentation, then I just grab more paper and stick in that spot. And then do it again. And I keep pressing until I don't get water out of it anymore, or very much water. If you can get it completely in the mold without it sticking out, you won't have edges to cut off. Like here, if you notice, this one has some edges that were around the outside, that on the outside of my mold, but you can just trim that off. Just very easy, because again, it's just paper. So it's not a big deal if it goes outside the mold. Okay, so I will let that sit for a little bit while I show you what I did for some of the others. Because it'll pop out pretty quickly. Oh, and this one's starting to get enough water to use it. Not quite. Still kind of hard, but it is working. I hadn't tried it yet, so I wasn't sure. Look at this snowflake. Isn't that pretty? I love that snowflake. Okay, so this one, look at these cameos. And those molds, this I got off of Amazon. That's one of the molds. And this is the other cameo one. This is crayon. This is wax melt. So you can do it with either. The only thing about crayon is if you're using it in a journal or something, if someone has their journal in the car with them or something on vacation in the summer, and it gets hot, the crayon will melt and make a mess in the journal. So I don't know if I would recommend doing crayon. Now, this one is wax melt. So of course with wax melt, there's all the different colors that you can use. It's another one with, I guess it's the same one. Never mind. Okay, where am I? This is one from this spackling. That's what it is. I couldn't think of the word. And that's probably my favorite way of making them, is with the spackling. They're like spongy and they bend. The thing I have not tried, and I'm going to try it right now, and we'll see how it works, is to try and color them. So I've got some vintage photo here, and we will try it to see. I guess it does take the color pretty well. About like the paper ones do. Now, if I wanted to get down in those cracks there, I'd probably use a brush, which I do not have handy. I'm sorry. But it will work. But the other way that you can use the spackling, if you're working on a project that has a certain color, like let's say you're using Salty Ocean, you can color your spackling that same color. So I'm going to saturate this with my Salty Ocean Distress Oxide and get my spackling. I have to dig down because I did not realize mine had gotten dried out at the top, so I need to make sure that from now on that it gets covered better. I may have gotten too big of a bunch here, we'll see. So if you just work it around, it picks up the ink. So this would be the same color as your other projects if you're using Salty Ocean. So whatever color you're using, it can be just worked around and pick up that color, which is pretty cool. The first one I tried this morning that was so crumbly because like I said, it was kind of dried out on the top. So I need to scrape those out and find a way to seal it a little better. But there, just work it around. And let's do one of these little oval thingies. This is just so easy to put in. Don't have to mess with the water and stuff. But the paper, I do like how it looks. It looks kind of rustic. And obviously it's cheap. Oh, and with the paper, I tried using like food coloring in my water. It didn't work because it just, the color didn't take. It just, when I went to push on it, all the color came out. And I went to push to get the liquid out. Okay. Alrighty, let's see how some of mine have turned out. Like I said, I've not done the hearts before, so this is with the spackling. Might still be too wet. Oh, rats. It's not going to come out. Rats. Let's see if the bows are dried enough. This was the bow that I had tried to do before with the dry spackling. That didn't turn out. Yeah, they're still too wet. Let's look at the paper one. There's my leaf. Trim off that excess. I really like how these look. Like I said, they're a little fiddly, but oh, I like that leaf. That would be cute on a tag or something. I don't know if you can see it very well. Let me get a paper here to stick it on. Isn't that cute? Love it. I am bummed that my other ones are not dry enough though. When I've made them before, maybe I got the spackling too wet. When I've made them before, I could pop them out pretty quickly. Let me try making some more of the paper ones. Let's try this leaf here. If those spackling ones won't come out, I may have to just have that in the picture for my video and post it on Instagram or something. But so even these paper ones, even though they're fiddly, they don't take a whole lot of time unless you're making tons of them, like I did. Have to show you my box. These I made several years ago. In my box, I have a bunch of them. I had made all the white ones before I had thought of using the colored paper instead. because my intention at first was to do the paper ones and then color them with the ink that I want. And that works okay. I guess I will show you how that looks. Let me grab one. I wasn't as happy with it. Again, maybe if I used a brush, it might look better. This is Vintage Photo again. And I guess it depends on how kind of grungy and rustic you want them to look. But I think I like the colored paper better. But again, on this, if you're doing a certain color, like the salty ocean or something, you could use that to color it with. And then it would match. That's weird. Look at that's Vintage Photo and that's Vintage Photo. I don't know why they're so different. Let's try a salty ocean. See how that turns out. Get another dauber thing here. Okay, so let's try a salty ocean. Find a little flower here, or let's try a rose. That's looking pretty. Again, with a brush, you could get in those cracks, but I'm wondering if I do one and not saturate it quite so much. Let me trim off the excess here. Just lightly brush it on. I think I like that a little better than trying to saturate it completely. And of course, it'll depend on how wet your ink is. And I had some ruffles and things here. Oh, there, they're hiding. So I was just going to show how pretty they would look on, excuse me, some things. That's maybe too matchy-matchy. Use them as decoration down a ruffle. They can be a decoration on a flower. I think I want to do the edge of that flower. I tried hot glue. I did not have much luck with hot glue. Not pretty. That's wax melt. So the color is very saturated on the wax melt. My hot glue ones, I kept getting bubbles. And then they weren't turning out. So I don't know if I would need a different kind of glue. But yeah, they just did not turn out at all. Oh. So I guess my favorite is using colored paper or the spackling. Here, this is a spackling one too. Very pretty. Let's see if any of these are dry enough to pop out. So there's the other leaf. Very pretty. We'll try these others again, but I don't know if it's going to work. No, they're still too wet. Okay, I'm so sorry about that. Here I thought I'd made them enough ahead of time that they would pop out, but let's see, I don't know if I can pop this one out without breaking it or not. No, doesn't look like it's going to come out. Oh, I wanted to show you one so badly. No. All right, well, thank you for watching. Hopefully you can try some of these ideas and have fun with them. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.